What's going on, guys? My name is Moaeez. I sell real estate across the GTA.
Hi everyone, my name is Omer Amir. I'm the broker owner of the Six Mortgage Group, and I
And
do mortgages.
in case you didn't give it away, and by the end of this video, folks, we are going to very clearly help you understand the difference between real estate as a career versus mortgage broker as a career. Then you can decide which career is more suitable for you. So stay tuned.
And this is the best way of getting this information because Moaeez right here is the top 1% real estate agent in Durham right now. So who better to give you this information than Mo?
It's funny he says this because I'm top 1% in the Durham region. He's top 1% across the whole country, guys. Like Omer Amir is killing finances. He's a great personality. He's young as well. And on top of that, guys, he's so active on social media. Honestly, there's no one better to pick his head of in regards to this conversation. So this is going to be some awesome fun, man.
Awesome, man. With social media, I'm learning from you, Mo. What
Stop
you've
this.
done with your social media is phenomenal. I see other real estate agents also following exactly what you're doing. And it's great, because this is what's happening, right? And people who are listening to this or watching this video right now, thinking about getting into real estate and mortgages, social media is a huge part of your business. And if you can see what Mo has been able to do with it, it's phenomenal. And that's the direction that, you should be moving towards, right?
Yeah, and we're going to touch light on that topic too, because one of our topics is how do you get business either as a real estate agent or a mortgage broker, and social media is a key component, just like how you said, for me, for you, and for many other people. And just so you guys know, I didn't pay Omer to say all those nice things about me. It was all natural, 100%, right?
100% natural.
Awesome. So guys, without shooting more of the fun, let's get right into the topic. Omer, I'll ask you first and then I'll shed light on it. How much does it cost right now for someone to become a mortgage broker?
Well, that depends. If they are going and taking the mortgage agent course in class, it's a little bit more expensive. I mean, you can always study online. If you have some background in finance, in economics, or even, I mean, if you work for a bank or financial institution or anything to do with finance, you're able to do these courses online and give the exam for your mortgage agent license and get licensed. The average cost is around $1,400 to get licensed. That's just to get licensed. Then there's other costs associated with being onboarded with a mortgage brokerage where your license can actually be activated for you to use.
Gotcha. So sum it up for me, Omer, taking the average cost of when you join a brokerage along with the cost associated with getting the license, the courses, roughly how much should somebody have in their account before they can become, or for them to be able to become a mortgage broker?
Well, I mean, that's a good question, and it's an interesting question because obviously you should have some money other than what you need to get started, right? But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Because mortgage brokering and also becoming a real estate agent, you're getting into a business, right? So it's not you get your license today and in 2 weeks you may have a paycheck waiting for you, right? It's not like that. But to your point though, you should budget at least $2,000 to get started. That includes your mortgage license. It includes your membership to Mortgage Professionals Canada. Most agents and most brokers that I know would like to be licensed with Mortgage Professionals Canada. Also your errors and omissions insurance, which as a real estate agent, you also have to get as well. And then there's other things like, membership to Equifax, so you can pull credit bureaus. And if whatever network that you end up joining, they may have their own fees, or brokerages might have their own fees. So I would say at least have the budget of around $2,000 before you think about starting this business.
Gotcha. And so $2,000, you become a mortgage broker. Can you recall, to the best of your knowledge, if there's a fee that you have to pay every 1 or 2 years to continue your license?
Absolutely. So I would think it's similar to the real estate side, where every year you do have to renew your license, right? And the cost associated for that is just under $1,000. But then when you add errors and omissions, which is also paid yearly, and membership fees to Mortgage Professionals Canada, and so on and so forth. The budget goes right up to like $2,000 again. So it's really, you're paying that $2,000 every year, not every month, every year. Continue to be a mortgage professional.
Good point. So $2,000 to get the license and $2,000 to keep it. So to become a real estate agent, it's actually quite similar. Okay, on average. So real estate agent, quite similar. We have a few more courses, and we have the ability. I got my license a while back, so I'm just going to go to the best of my knowledge. I think the first 3 courses, you have the ability to either study by yourself online, or you can go in person. And I think the last 2 courses, you're actually required to go in person because of how much knowledge it is associated with the courses. So all in all, from when I got my license, I'm pretty sure it might have changed a little bit now, but not by a lot. To give everyone a ballpark, you need roughly about $8,000 to get your license. And the annual fees to renew it, the errors and omission, the brokerage cost, everything is roughly about $1,800 annually.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a little bit higher. And I know a lot of people think about that. But honestly, and this business can be extremely rewarding. So it pays off in trifolds, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the upside to this business, it's phenomenal, right? Like the amount of money that you can make. There's no ceiling on your earning potential. Nobody's telling you how much you're worth other than what you put into the business yourself, right? So that's huge.
The haters or the people that aren't too fond of the business, they will tell you that, you have no worth. You're just a mortgage broker, or you're just a real estate agent, right? But at the end of the day, and we're going to prove this to everybody as well, you will get compensated the amount of effort you want to put in. And that's actually one of the reasons why I chose a business too, was because if I'm going to work 12, 13, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, I want to get compensated equally. And I want to do it kind of, let's say, for myself, right? So, and you said something very important, man. Getting into either of the fields, either real estate or mortgage brokerage, it is a business. You can't just walk in. You have to have a safety net. You have to factor in marketing costs. How are you going to pay your bills for the first 8 months if you don't make money, right? So people don't even think about that. They really do think, and maybe it's to an extent our fault, Omer, not just you and I specifically, but we as a whole, because we show only the better light of the business on social media. We never really show the downside, the hustle, when we get knocked down, when we lose money.
That's right. That's right. It's true. So going back to that fact, right? Let's talk a little bit about why would someone get into this business, right? Like, so let's talk about real estate. Like, why would someone get into real estate? What are the main reasons why someone would want to get into real estate?
So I'll tell you what I felt, and I'll tell you what I commonly see, because it's also what I felt. So I believe real estate was as much as I saw it to be, right? Almost every realtor has a fancy car. How they're paying for it, how they're getting by it is really a personal story. It's different. I learned that very quickly. But as a whole, the business shows to be very luxurious, right? It also seems very fun because you're interacting, you get to dress up, you get to look clean, and it looks like a very high-key job, right? And it looks very simple. That people don't work on weekends, and people work part-time. So I know a lot of people, I got into it because I thought it was just that. I was working in sales before, so I thought that I'm going to kill it. I'm going to get my license, and everyone's going to be waiting in line to give me business. And nobody gave me business, for that matter of fact, right? Nobody was waiting in line. And a lot of people now want to jump in the business too, because they'll be like, dude, you're young. If you could do it, I can definitely do it. And I've had parents say out loud in front of me, hey, if Mo could do it, my son can do it too. He can even do it part-time, right? So that's what I see when people want to get into business. Very few people are actually like, yes, I'll knock the doors. I'll work the 12 hours. I'll learn the marketing side. I'll learn how to be an admin for myself. Very few people know that. They just kind of go off of what they see, and you can't blame them. So with that being said, what do you see attracts people to become a mortgage broker?
Well, I think, something that you just said right now, it is a business, right? And if you have the entrepreneur genes in you, right? If you have that calling, right, you'll never be able to work a 9-to-5 job. Just like you said before, you were working sales even before you got into real estate, right? There's a lot of people like that who know that a 9-to-5 job is not for them, even though they might be doing great. one of my really good friends used to work for he used to work for IBM, made over $100,000 at IBM, right? Left IBM, became a mortgage broker, makes way more money now. But why would someone in 2010 leave $100,000 job at IBM and go into, doing mortgages where there is no guaranteed income, right? It's that entrepreneurial genes, right? That's that calling inside you. And think of it as not just a business, but think of it as one of the easiest and cost-effective businesses to set up. Even though you just said that to get a real estate license, it costs you $8,000, right? Same thing with a mortgage broker, right? Like if you don't do in-class training, it's going to be about $2,000, just around about $2,000 to get your license. If you do in-class training and you go to school for it, it'll cost you even more. It can go up really fast from there, right? But think of it still this way. It's still a cheap way of starting up a business, right? There's limited inventory required. You don't have to buy stuff, right? There's limited startup costs. It's your license fees. That's pretty much it. There's no long-term leases required. You go and you sign up with a mortgage brokerage or a real estate brokerage, and your business is pretty much, it starts running. You don't have to pay for any staffing. You don't have to employ people. You don't have to deal with any suppliers. You don't have to sign contracts with suppliers. You don't need a mass customer base. And the main thing is, at the end of the day, right? As one of my friends Jawad says, at the end of the day, right? Everyone needs a roof over their heads. So this is a business that will give you reasonable exposure to macroeconomics, right? Like, yes, markets can change, they can fluctuate, but everyone will always need housing. That will never change. So this is why I still think that real estate and mortgages, they're always going to be a viable business. We're classified as essential services, both of us, you and I, right?
Yeah.
Why is that, right? Yes, there may not be a ton of transactions happening, but transactions are happening. People still need to buy and sell. So the gist of it is that I think it's an essential business, and I think it's still a pretty low-key business in terms of cost to get involved into.
You're absolutely right. Instead of having to get a storefront, pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to renovate it, to sign that 5-year lease, to then put in staff, train people, the average business, restaurant, or anything that you open in a commercial place usually takes about 3 to 4 years for you to make your investment back. So if you put $100K into your business, you make that $100K back in 2-3 years, and then you finally hit positive. Whereas for financing, for mortgages, and for real estate, you can make your initial investment back in your first 1 to 3 deals. And if you choose to go through that route, there's many different avenues of getting business in both of our fields. But one of them is what we call sweat equity. And it requires no financial investment to require clients. You're just pretty much doing sweat equity. So you're making calls, cold calls, warm calls, door knocking, talking to anyone and everyone, standing outside Walmart and giving a business card to everyone. You could do that, talk to hundreds of people, and at least 1 or 2 people will convert and work with you. And that was for free. It just costs you your time. And that's pretty much what you have, right? So that is one beauty, that you don't need initial startup costs. At the same time, I want to shed some light. We have a really high failure rate. So Omer, I'll talk about mine first. In real estate, there's a huge dropout percentage. In the first 3 years, roughly about 97% in the first 3 year folks drop out. And the average salary for the average agent is $30,000 to $50,000. And that is not enough, because in that $50,000, you have a bunch of fees to pay, right? And you don't make that $50,000 right away. Like sometimes you'll make one check 6 months after into your year, and you're just pretty much paying off the debt you accumulated for the first 6 months of the year. So there's a really high failure rate on our side. You know what? I'll share more stats later. What is the failure rate as a mortgage broker?
Yeah, I would imagine that the failure rate is very similar, right, in the mortgage industry, and really it goes back to expectations, right? A lot of people get into this business because they look at someone else who's successful, right? And having a mentor is one thing, But following someone who's already successful and thinking that, you know, you can do the exact same thing just because, you know, Mo is successful or Omir is successful, I can do the exact same thing and I can make the same amount of money. It doesn't work that way, right? Unless that person was following you 6 years ago when you started out, or, you know,
Right.
10 years ago when I started out, right? If they were following me back then they would have seen what I had to do in order to build that book of business, right? My routine today is not the same routine that I had 10 years ago, right? Like, in order to build that book of business, the way I worked or what I did, all of those things, they're completely different today, because today my business is pretty much from my own book, right? So a lot of people kind of get into this business thinking that, oh, you know, if this person can do it, we can do it as well. It's not really the right way of getting around it, right? Second thing is, with people that try to join this business part-time, uh, 9 out of 10 times it doesn't work. It can't work, right? I mean, um, with real estate and mortgages, if you are working this job full time, I would say 4 days out of 5, you're spending time prospecting and working your database, working your leads, right? As a part-time agent, what you're doing is, instead of prospecting and instead of being on the front foot and looking for business, what you do is you start to sit and wait for deals to come to you, right? So, you know, you wait for the phone to ring instead of you making those calls. And you can't make those calls because guess what? You're in your, you know, full-time job at you know, Canadian Tire, doing whatever you do at Canadian Tire, right?
Right. Right.
So yeah, I mean, this is part of it. It's the expectation that people have that we'll be, you know, we'll go in, we'll kill it in 6 months, and then in 6 months they don't see any results, and they think, okay, maybe this is not for us, and then they leave, right? But that's not how it works, right? With real estate, with mortgages, it can take up to 2 years to build your business. You have to be adamant. You have to be at it. You can't stop, right? Once you start, you got to be proactive. You got to go out. You got to look for business. You have to do the activities that get you business. And there are tons of activities. It's not one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to shed light on that really quickly, man. If you're a part-time agent, I run into this as a full-time agent, and I'm like all out, right? Like I'm at that point now where you're saying you've built your book. I'm still building my book. And I know that if I get comfortable, I'm going to fall behind. So whatever work I do now is to assure me 5 years down the road, I'm going to have a better business. I'm going to have less hurdles, less objections, less people that will doubt my ability to either help them find their dream home, or to sell their house for top dollar, right? So as a part-time agent, I can't speak for everyone, but I know that if you sit and you wait for your phone to ring and you're not actively showing your value, then you're going to have a very hard time negotiating your commission, because the average person has 3 realtors top of mind. Take anybody and tell them, hey, who would you call to sell your house? They'll give you 3 realtors top of mind, and usually the first 1 or 2 are in the immediate family, and they're naturally obligated to work with them.
Right.
Right. So almost every time somebody will say to me, hey, Mo, that individual charges, half the percentage you're offering to charge me. And it happens all the time, man. Like, and you're not going to last too long if every deal you get, you have to drop your commission. And I mean, the vendors aren't wrong to ask that. Right. There's somebody who works part-time, and you're pretty much telling the homeowner or the buyer that, like, they can only contact you during a certain period because you have another job. Whereas like the guy who's full-time is actively going to be on his phone, readily available for you whenever you need him. So who do you think is going to win that battle? So I think as a part-time agent, you'll get 1, 2, maybe 3 deals, but naturally it decreases. You have to look for other sources. And there's a saying, Omer, in our business that, and there's coaches, like real estate coaches who've done this, who say this, that if you want to make $100,000, you want to make 100K in the year, you have to be prospecting, actively looking for business 5 hours every day.
Minimum. Absolutely.
Right?
100% agree with that.
And then you got to do your marketing. Then you got to do your admin stuff. Then you got to go do showings. You got to do appointments. And then the more showings you do, the more objections you have. Clients like houses, clients don't like houses, offers fall apart, deals fall apart. So by the time you do everything correctly, man, it really is a 10, 12-hour day job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I mean, this is another thing, right? Like, because I talk to a lot of new agents, real estate agents, and new mortgage agents. And one thing I've realized is that sometimes these new agents come and they talk about not joining companies like Remax, right? Or Six Mortgage Group, we're part of Mortgage Alliance. We're the biggest mortgage network in Canada, right? Obviously, just like Remax, we're not the cheapest, right? So people are like, wait a minute, I can join, XYZ brokerage, which is way cheaper. Just like, they can come to you and say, hey, why should we join Remax? And why not join, an XYZ brokerage, which is way cheaper? And it just boggles my mind. It doesn't make any sense because, if you think about it, if you work, let's say, if you want to make $300,000 a year, right? How many hours in a day can you realistically work? 8 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
So about 8 hours a day, what is that equivalent to? 8 hours times 5 days a week, right? So 8 times 5 times 52. So 8 hours a day times 5 days a week. So basically 40 hours a week, right? In order to make $300,000 a year, you got to be making about $150 an hour, and you work 8 hours a day. So if you want to make $300,000 a year, and you work 8 hours a day, basically every hour that you work costs you $150, right? So you gotta find a brokerage that gives you value of the equivalence of $150 an hour, right? Like you can't do everything, right? If you want to be successful, you can't do everything. You can't be calling, all of the suppliers. You can't be calling, doing all of your printing, your marketing, your media, all of that, right? You have to leverage on your brokerage, right? There's so much material that Remax probably provides you, right? Mortgage Alliance provides a lot of structuring, a lot of media to our agents, calculators, all that kind of stuff, right? We have assistants that call your clients to get documents, so on and so forth. You got to utilize that because if you're doing all of that yourself, every single hour that you're spending it's costing you $150 an hour if you want to make $300,000 a year, right? So what I'm trying to say is that if you're part of these mega brokerages like Remax and Mortgage Alliance, you may be paying a little bit more, but it will in fact enable you to make more money at the end of the day.
100%. I'm going to shut on, this is actually a whole topic in itself. Big brokerages versus, XYZ or smaller boutique brokerages. And I don't want to get into all of it just completely, but my first deal, Omer, nobody ever wants to hire a newbie to help them buy a house or to sell a house. It's one of the biggest investments financially, and they want someone experienced, especially when there's so many experienced realtors out there. The reason why I got my first deal, of course, I dressed well, I had my suit on, all of that jazz as well, but it was because I was with Remax, and that lady trusted Remax. So to this day, my client doesn't know that she was my first client. And the reason why I was able to acquire and close that deal, for one, I got it with the power of Remax. I was able to negotiate an offer because my broker was there. So he taught me how to do everything as I'm doing the deal. And then he shadowed me as I shadowed the closing of that sale, and nothing went wrong. And the only reason why I was able to do that is because I was paying a little bit more for it. And I made my money back for all my Remax fees for the next maybe 5 years in one deal. And it felt so good knowing that my broker was just right there to help me when I needed him during crucial times.
I mean, it brings you instant credibility, right?
Yeah.
People are not going to challenge you when you're part of Remax as to who you are. Remax is a global brand. Everyone trusts Remax already, right? It is synonymous with real estate. You think about, selling a house, and the first thing that comes to your mind is Remax, right? Like Heinz for ketchup, right? That's just how it is.
Absolutely. So Mary, let's break it down a little bit more. Tell me, and then I'll answer the same question as well. How did you get your first few deals, and what should a new agent be doing to get their first few deals?
I mean, when I got into the business, I worked for the bank, right? So um, honestly, I had a good mentor, right? I had a good mentor, and I 100% believe in having a mentor, be it in real estate, be it in mortgages, having access to people who can teach you and pass knowledge on to you is, it's a huge blessing. So if you have someone out there that can coach you and tame you into a seasoned professional, take that opportunity, right? Don't ever say no to that. I mean, the value is immense. In real estate, people pay for mentorship, and they pay a lot of money for mentorship. Even high producing agents pay for mentorship, right? So mine was, when I became I had been working at the bank prior to becoming a mortgage specialist anyway. So, I mean, I had my roots in finance, I had my clientele base and so on. But when I went into mortgages full time, my mentor was my area manager at CIBC. His name was Darren. Extremely great guy. Helped me out with pretty much everything. How to structure deals, how to get more business, and so on. But it was actually the real estate agents that supported me, right? It was real estate agents from Remax, Performance in Mississauga, Century 21 in Scarborough. Those are the partnerships that I still have till today. These are the guys that supported me and gave me my business and kept me afloat. That's how I started out in this industry. They supported me, they helped me, and one of the things that they always said, whenever we call you, you're always there. You pick up our call, and that's all we care about. It doesn't matter if you get the deal declined or approved. That's not in your hands, right? But the fact that you always, pick up our call and give us transparent communication, that means everything to us. So I took that to heart. I made sure that I was picking up my phone, and business started flowing slowly, right? But surely.
But it didn't just like the folks at Remax Professional, they didn't just, find you one day, start and be like, hey, you look sharp. Let me just give you all my business. You had to consistently reach out to them, follow up with them, and almost on like a regular basis, show your value to them so they can trust you with their clients.
Absolutely, right. And I think I have a model that I've made, and I use that with brand new agents as well, right? Uh, it's a one page kind of a exercise, right? It's an exercise that I do with brand new agents to show them how many leads they can generate in 10 minutes that they probably don't even know that they've ever had, right? So this is how that model works. I take a piece of paper and I make 6 boxes in that piece of paper. Prior to that, I ask them, if you're a mortgage agent, where are you going to get your business? 9 out of 10 times, the answer is the same: real estate agents. Great. How many real estate agents do you know? 2 or 3 real estate agents. Fantastic. Have you reached out to them? Not yet. Great. Make sure you do reach out to them. But regardless of that, I put a piece of paper right in front of them. Right. In that piece of paper, I made 6 boxes, and I say, in these 6 boxes, I want you to go ahead and put in a name of anyone that you know in your family or friends, basically your circle. In your circle of family and friends, I want you to put names of 6 homeowners. That's all you're going to do on that piece of paper. 6 names of homeowners. Takes them 2 minutes. Jot down, Tony, John, Eric, Robert, Muhammad, right? Like 6 names. We need 6 names. So the minute they write 6 names out, right, then I explain to them how you actually generate warm leads, and it blows their mind. So I basically draw a circle around all these 6 names, and I ask them, okay, I want you to call Tony. Tony is name number 1 on that list. I want you to call Tony, and I want you to pick up the phone and say this to Tony. Hey, Tony, it's Omir. Just wanted to let you know I've become a mortgage specialist, or I'm becoming a mortgage agent. By the way, you remember when you bought your house 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Who was your real estate agent? Oh, your real estate agent was was Moaeez. That's fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. Now you put the phone down and you find Moaeez's phone number, and then you call Moaeez and you say, "Hey Moaeez, my friend Tony said that you're told me to give you a call and connect with you." So when that happens, Moaeez, would you say no to that call?
No, it's coming from a credible source.
Coming from a credible source, right? So boom, like right after they've done that exercise, generally they have 6 warm leads in their hands. That's actionable. And I'm telling you, if they follow that, they always book those meetings. So, I mean, that's how we start, right? But again, right, this is just one method. And it is a method that we keep replicating and doing again and again and again. The main thing is prospecting. Prospecting never ends in this business. The minute that you stop prospecting, your pipelines will dry up. You got to keep prospecting. You got to keep doing it. I'm 15 years in the business. I still prospect. I have to.
Yeah, that was actually some awesome gold nuggets. You pretty much just told all the new agents that could be watching this how to get their first businesses, and people have to pay for that information. And any real estate coach will tell you the exact same thing as well. When you become a realtor, when you don't have finances to invest into videos and boosted ads and Google pay-per-click and all of that stuff, how do you get business? You're on the phone. And the first 2-3 years in the business is like a telemarketing. Like you set in your schedule that from this time to this time is a higher chance that my guys are free. They're coming from work or they're going to work. So I'm going to call them and I'll make these calls every day. And you have to, right? Like you have to constantly be prospecting, like you said. And as a new real estate agent, if you don't have the ability to put out ads right away, the first few deals will also come from your sphere of influence. People that people that know of you, right? Now, I was completely different, man. I got my license when I was 20 or 21, wow. Right? And while people knew I was a realtor, they hesitated. I could see it in their voice. Like they wanted to work with me, but they just knew I was too new. So I actually didn't get any business from my sphere of influence until like 2-3 years later. Once they saw me actively selling houses, then they trusted me. Right. And that was the same thing. I didn't even want to ask, because if someone was going to hire me, if you were going to hire me, I didn't want it to be because I'm your buddy and you want to help me as a new person in the business. I want you to genuinely trust me as a professional. And if you don't hire me.
Yeah, no, that
right?
makes
So my mentality was completely different, right? So if anyone's out there thinking that, family will always give you business, not always. And sometimes you won't even want to work with family. You'll just actively have to go out and look for other people. And there's multiple ways to do that. And we'll talk about different ways to prospect and different pillars of business as we go. But we're going to come back to some of the questions that were asked very, very frequently. I didn't mention, to become a real estate agent, you have to be at least 18 years of age and you have to have at least completed high school. What's the requirement on your side, Omer?
Yeah, it's similar. You have to be over 18. And there is minimum educational requirements as well. You have to go to the Mortgage Professionals Canada or REMIC website, and it'll explain everything to you. Because I believe you can get around the high school requirement if you've completed a number of years in work experience, something like that. So you have to go in. It's called, what is it called? Yeah, like, experience learning or something, right? You can get away from that. But otherwise, yeah, high school is definitely recommended, at least.
Got it. So we're going to come back to it in a little bit. We're going to talk about how to make a killing in the business, because you really can do that. You just need the right guidance to make a killing. There's a stat that's really mind-blowing that 3% of the overall real estate population, we have roughly about 45,000 agents across the GTA right now. So 3% of those 45,000 people, Omer, make 97% of the overall commissions earned by a real estate agent as a whole. So yes, you're able to completely dominate. You just kind of need the right guidance for it, right? But before that, Omer, tell me, and then after you all shed light on this too, what a typical day looked like for you when you were early on in your business and you were just completely hustling to make and build your database.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is when I got into the business, I had the same questions that people have today, right? And that question was, is this the right time? Have I gotten into this at the right time? Because real estate was booming at that time, right? And I thought that the boom has already happened. right? I thought that people who are in the business already have made all the money. Just like you said, 3% of the agents are making all the money, right? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3% of the people are making what, 90% of the income?
Yeah, roughly 3% of the agents make like 97% of the income, somewhere in the 90s, and it's a mind-blowing number.
So and my thought process was very similar, right? At that point, right? And it was like, wait a minute, am I too late? I should have joined the mortgage industry maybe 2005 or maybe in 2000. Am I too late for this? And the answer was no, right? And it's the same question that I get today. I had a new agent contact me yesterday, and he had just finished his course. I had already been talking to him for the past few weeks or whatnot. So he called me yesterday, and you know what he said to me? He said, "Oh my God, because of COVID, once we come back from COVID, real estate might not be the same. Mortgages might not be the same. I don't think this is the right time to become a mortgage agent." So I looked at him, and I said, "Listen, have you ever heard the story of the shoe salesman that went to Africa? Have you? No?
Tell me. No.
I'll tell you the story of the shoe salesman that went to Africa. So once upon a time, right, a shoe company, they sent a shoe salesman to Africa. So the shoe salesman flew all the way from America. He went to Africa, and he studied the market for a whole week. And after that week was done, he picked up the phone and he called his boss. And he said, "Boss, this was a complete waste of time. Why would you send me here? These guys don't wear shoes. What am I going to sell? This is garbage." So the boss said, "Okay, fine. Come back to America. It's fine. It's all good." So he went back to America. So the same boss went to another salesperson and said, "Hey, I want you to go to Africa and see what you can do." So the second salesperson went to Africa. He did the whole week and surveyed the surroundings, surveyed the market, and then he got back on the phone to the boss, and he said, "Boss, you have no idea what's going on here. This is a huge opportunity. Nobody wears shoes here. We can make a killing selling shoes," right? So it's about your thought process. Right? It's about your thought process. And that is where I was wrong as well. When I thought that, people have already made the money that there's to make, so on and so forth. No, transactions are happening all the time. There's close to 7 million privately owned residences in Ontario, in the Greater Toronto area. You know what that means? Even if 40% of them are mortgage free, even then, that's like over 3 million people who own houses that are doing mortgages every year. So there's a ton of business. You just have to work at it. You have to go for it, right? And that's what happened to me, and that's what I said to the new agent. I gave him the story, and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. Let's go. Let's do this."
Absolutely.
There will be opportunities in every single market. There are opportunities, right? You just have to uncover those opportunities. This is why this is a business.
Yeah, and from a real estate side, if somehow the market does crash, people rent. So then there's rental market. You can work on that. So in every market, there's deals that happen because people naturally have to move, and some people have to sell. Right? So whatever the reasons are, there's obviously some sort of shift happening, and you need to be there to take over and then guide and control the deal, right? So even in markets where the housing market is absolute garbage, the rental market is crazy, and you can make a living off of rental markets as well. It's just a lot more work. So spot on, in every market, there's absolutely no right or wrong time to get into either of these businesses. Pretty sure when I came, our market was going down, and somehow I still was able to build my name. And people were like, how? Like business sucks. Housing market sucks. Like, how do even people buy and sell? And I guess I was just able to locate the people that needed that guidance, and I was able to convince them to work with me, and then all that jazz, right? So there's really no right or wrong time. It's all in your mind. Whenever you feel ready to take that leap, I guess that's the best time then, Omer?
Absolutely. When you're ready to take that leap, when you know you're ready to work at it, right? Because none of this is going to happen automatically, right? A day in the life of a mortgage broker, when they start, I'm telling you, if you start at 9, from 9 to 3, you're prospecting, right? You're calling, you're meeting people, you're meeting clients. Basically, what your goal should be is to start and end the day by letting people know who you are, what you do, and what your value proposition is. If you're not putting it out there, how will people know who you are and what you do? How will you get business?
Yeah, they have a very similar saying for us as well. Coaches preach this, that every day 3 new people should have your name or should have your business card. And it's very common. You go for lunch, communicate there. Yes, you have to go to a comfort zone. Yes, you have to introduce yourself, but you got to do that. You go to the gas station, introduce somebody there. You know, you run to somebody at the mall, introduce somebody there. And that's actually how I got my first deal as well. Completely cold. I was working. I sold the individual the item that I was selling in sales at that time. And I was like, by the way, during the weekdays, I sell real estate. And he kept my card. I guess it left a very good impression on him. But I did that like 100 times a day to as many people as I could, right? I'll give them excellent service. I'd bond with them. I'd connect with them because people work with who they like, right? And like, by the way, during the weekdays, I sell real estate. And that's how my first deal came through. One out of 100% actually kept my card, but that one was enough. I got to put my sign on the street. People saw who I was. And then I just kind of used that to get more and more and more, right? So you have to do that. Even to this day, man, business rarely ever comes to my lap.
Yeah,
right?
no. It never comes to anybody's lap, right? I mean, and you can't count on the business that comes to your lap, right? You should never. It's a freebie. That's how I think about it, right? It's a blessing if you get a deal by doing nothing, just sitting there. But truly, when you're building your business, you gotta start. You gotta get ready to work hard. Be willing to learn. You have to be optimistic, right? You can't dwell on what the market is or what the challenges in the markets are. You have to be optimistic about any kind of opportunities that are out there. You're a professional, right? And you have to take ownership of the industry and see yourself as a leader, right? Because once you put yourself out there, other people will see you as such, right?
And the law of attraction as well.
Right, and what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. And it's so hard in the beginning to have that mindset because no one really is there to give you a pat on the back, right? No one is saying, hey, buddy, good job. You killed it today. You prospected for these many hours. You're going to make it one day. You're pretty much like your biggest enemy and you have to become your biggest fan as well, right? Omer, give me a handful or as many as points as you can think about. What are the pros and cons of being a mortgage agent, you think?
Oh man, that's a very interesting question. Pros and cons of being a mortgage agent, right?
Or what you think people might consider to be a con.
Sure. So I mean, a pro would be that you're a mortgage agent. A con would be you're not a real estate agent. So,
oh man.
Well, I mean, a pro would be that definitely it's a wonderful industry. It's I always believe it's recession proof, right? If the markets are affected, real estate prices are affected, or transactions are affected, they're never affected indefinitely, right? Real estate is one thing in Canada that has never gone down, right? Real estate has always been strong in this country, and it will remain to stay strong in this country. But having said that, even if purchases are light, as a mortgage broker, you still have access to refinances. You still have access to equity takeouts. You can still build a business around financial planning for your clients, right? And putting your clients into a better position, right? And even if people are not refinancing or taking money out, it's fine because one in five people who own a house are renewing every year. Right? So when someone is renewing, there's business there as well, right? So for a mortgage broker, I think business will always be there. So that's definitely a pro, right? A con is that the business, even though it is there, it's only as good as how much you work. If I take a month off today, right, and I go to the Bahamas and I chill in Bahamas, and I don't answer my phone for another month, I come back, right? 3 months from now, I'll have no closings. I won't have any business. I won't have any paychecks coming my way, right? So the con is that you have to literally be at it, right? Like a machine. It doesn't end. You get addicted. And this addiction is really bad because you can lose sight of other things, right? So even though, you know, we all have to work, we all have to work at our profession and be good at our jobs, but that work-life balance is very important. So and people very easily forget that work-life balance uh, when they have access to so much business and when money is rolling in. But it's very important to keep that work-life check.
That probably is one of the biggest cons on my side too, the work-life balance as well. And I think at least for now, I'm not at a level where I can say that it's changed for me. I can't control the hours at work, right? Like, yes, at sometimes I can be like, okay, I have no showings today, I can watch a TV show, but usually there's always showings. I'll promise my relative or my wife dinner, but then a property comes on the market, your clients want to say you have to cancel that dinner and you have to go to that showing, right? So somebody said it correctly. If you want to do it really well, you want to hit it out of the park, you have to make it into a lifestyle. You can't put a time frame on it. From the time your eyes open and the phone's in your hand, from the time you get into bed and you put your phone aside, you're responding to emails, messages, properties, actively looking, thinking about new ways to innovate, new marketing ideas, responding to people from all over the places. So you have to keep doing that in order to build your foundation, at least if you want to kick it out of the park, right? And like you said, if I don't answer my phone today, tomorrow that person's going to hire another realtor.
Yeah. I've been on vacation, you know, in other countries. You know, I've been on vacation, and I'll be sitting in Paris, you know, having dinner, where I would have to pause and, you know, pick up my laptop, and I'll be inputting a deal because a client just put in an offer on a property, right? And again, you can't stop, right? So and the thing about it is with us is with mortgage brokers, um, that our referral sources are very important to us, right? And in order to keep that you know, that connection and keep the relationship with some of the referral sources, you can't disappoint them. You can't tell them that, hey, I'm on vacation, I can't service you anymore. Absolutely not, right? Just because I'm on vacation doesn't mean that your business has stopped, right? So if your clients are putting offers on, we still have to take care of them, right? So I think most people here understand that you will be working, you know, on vacation, on your time off. This will consume your life, and you got to be okay with that. It's for, you know, at least for uh, at least for one point, right?
I love when someone tells me, man, you must love taking time off whenever you can. And I'm like, I haven't been able to yet, man. Like we're during coronavirus right now. And yes, everything's on pause, but I'm taking more calls than I've ever done before, right? Because people have the ability to work from home, or some people are temporarily laid off. And now is the time they want to talk real estate. And people want to talk when they want to talk, not when it's convenient for you, what's convenient for them. Right. So now I'm getting calls. I think I probably missed 3 calls as I'm sitting here with you, and I'm going to have to call back and apologize to them as well that I missed a call, but that's part of it. Right. And a lot of people always say that I haven't had a weekend now since we have coronavirus, open houses are banned. I haven't had a weekend off for as long as I can remember, man. I haven't gone out with my family for as long as I can remember, because weekends and evening means showings. But to have showings, you have to be prospecting during the day. You have to be marketing during the day. Right. So yes, you can start your day at 9, 10, 11 a.m. as well, but you get less amount of work done. Your day, like ideally, man, my day starts earlier than that, like 6, 7 a.m. I'll be up for the first hour or two. I got to get my mind together. I just got to be in a clear headspace. I got to be motivated. I got to be confident. And as 9 o'clock hits, your phone starts ringing, and then you're multitasking everything. One laptop is an email. The other, you're uploading a listing. Or one over here, you got text message from a client. Over here, you got to write another, I don't know, like paperwork for the remainder of your deal. Like, there's so much that happens, and you really don't have that much control, right? I think it's the same for you, Mayor. As a realtor, not only do you have to know about houses, you have to, not only are you expected to know about negotiation, but you need to know at least the basics of financing, lawyers, how it closes, how title insurances work. You need to know the whole process. So the learning never ends. Exactly, right? Like, you can always say to your clients, hey, I don't know financing, call Omer, he's the guy. But you look more credible when you have the answer, because they're in constant communication with you. You're the realtor. They expect you to have the knowledge. So if you want to stand out from the other agent, you have to have all this knowledge, right? Like after this, man, I'm going to be on YouTube and I'm going to be watching documentaries and interviews to see how other realtors are being successful so I can learn something new from them. And that's like an everyday thing. It just doesn't end at one point in your career. It happens all the time. It's like a lifestyle.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is where I think the having a mentor comes in play as well, right? Where if you have a coach or a mentor, it really helps. It really helps your business. They will not only guide you with how to navigate these kind of situations, but also they will teach you things that you never would have thought about before, right? And not only that, it's the fact that as a self-employed individual, as a real estate agent, mortgage broker, so on and so forth, you have very limited accountability to yourself, right? Like basically, you have to prospect every single day and meet 3 people a day in order to be successful. And you might do that for the first 2-3 weeks or months. After that, if you don't do it, who's going to question you? Nobody. You're not going to question yourself because you're the one who's taking the time off to do it, right? But if you have a coach, now you have accountability to someone, right? That coach will keep you accountable to your actions. They will say, "Hey Mo, you said you're going to do X, Y, Z this week. What did you do, right? Or did you do it? And if you did do it, what are the results of that?" Because then you can actually judge and see whatever activities that you're doing, are they working? Are they actually getting you business? Are they getting you leads? So on and so forth. So I do believe that having a coach, and your coach could be your broker owner, right? Yeah, or it could be someone else that you partnered up with at a real estate office, right? It could be a team structure. It could be anybody. But I do think that's very helpful.
I also joined a team when I first got in the business, and I am so glad I did because they were able to teach me within a year what they learned over 15 years of experience, right? And you can never be too prepared because you never know what's going to happen in a deal until something happens. So when shit hits the fan, something goes wrong, they're there to kind of guide you, and they also help you understand and learn how to communicate. How do you show your value to your prospective buyer seller? Right? How do you help them understand that you're going to do so much more for them compared to the other agent, right? So they teach you how to talk, how to take phone calls. I learned everything, like my foundation of my business now, how to talk, how to dress, the mindset, how to get business, how much effort to put into it, how much marketing dollars to invest in which avenue. I learned all that through my mentor. Big shout out to him. He was a great guy. And being in that team really helps. Either you spend 4 to 5 years learning on your own and potentially screwing up deals and losing clients. And I don't know how you feel about this, Omer, but I know that a happy person tells maybe 1 or 2 people, but an unhappy person tells the world. And since we have so much social media and technology, if somebody's unhappy with you and they leave you a bad review, there goes your business, man. So it's not worth risking it. So you never want to, I guess, trial on clients' deals. You want to get a mentor, someone who's killing it, someone who knows the game, and learn from them, right? Omer, we're going to wrap this up. I want to point out something really, really quickly in the business, and I think same with mortgages as well. People work with people they like, and people are attracted to different kind of personalities. Whomever might want to work with my personality type may not work with another one, and vice versa, right? So everybody in our businesses can make a living. You don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to wear a blazer. You can even wear jeans for that matter of fact. You can be comfortable in a t-shirt and you can still make a killing. It's all mentality, right? I dress up and I think Omer dresses up too, for one, out of respect of our clients, and for 2, because it makes us feel better. The better we feel, the better we work, the better we negotiate. Right? It radiates energy. So everyone can make a good business. If you're more calm, you're not really as loud, as outgoing, as long as you can find a source to find clients. Like a lot of people do golf, Omer, and that is their forte. And through that league, they meet people and they find business from there. That's their thing. So you just got to find your own niche, whatever works for you, and you most likely can get business from there. Omer, how do you make a killing in this business? That's our last question.
You work. You You
Tell us more. Tell us exactly what we got to do to make a good living. I'm not talking about the 30, 50K that the average person makes. I'm talking like 100, 150, 200K plus, because we do have the ability to make that money. How do we do that?
So as a mortgage broker, you know, it's actually not that bad, right? You want to make $200,000 in this business, you got to fund somewhere around close to $12 million of mortgages, right? If you fund $12 million of mortgages, 12 to $15 million of mortgages, you're looking at over $200,000 in gross commissions. You know, what does that mean? That means about 25 deals, 25 deals a year. So you got to close close to 2 deals a month. You got 30 days to find, you got 30 days in a month to find 2 deals. How do you do it? What do you do? Right? And that's what you got to figure out. And if you want to know, you got to join our next call.
We're going to wrap it up. Yeah, absolutely. And same thing for real estate guys. If you want to make 100K, 150K, you need to have one sale or purchase a month. And to kind of break it down for you guys, you need to make roughly about 100 contacts. So you got to talk to roughly about 100 people, out of which maybe 20 will sit and want to talk to you. And out of those 20 people that hear you out will hire and choose to work with you. And that's how you get that one deal. So you have to speak to 100 people a month to get that 20 appointments. And from that 20, maybe 1 or 2 convert. And that's how you hit 1 or 2 sales a month. That's your aim. And then you can break it down exactly to your schedule, how many calls you're going to make, how many people you're going to meet a day to reach that 100. And that's how you can pretty much kill it in the business. So next video, we'll talk about prospecting methods. What else should we talk about next video, Mayor? We'll take any more questions that we get. Yeah,
we'll talk about how to make 6 figures in mortgages and real estate, what to do and how to get there.
Absolutely. And I'll shed a little bit more light on, it's a very common question. I'm with Remax Impact. I've always been with Remax, and there's a reason why I'm with Remax. If by chance it was, not good, I'll be the first person to leave, but I'm still with them, and I'm going to be with Remax for the rest of my career because I know the value of it. So we'll talk about that as well. So until then, we're going to sign off. Mayor, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
That was awesome. And we'll catch up next time. Take care, guys. Bye.